Turning now to Emma James for this evening's Media Watch. Good evening, Emma. You've been looking at one of the big stories today in France, which is Vincent Lambert, that man who's been in a vegetative state for 11 years, and now finally it looks like life support systems might be turned off.
Yes, absolutely. He really has become the face of France's debate on euthanasia. Vincent Lambert, his doctors, a team of doctors, say that he will never recover. But after 6 years of legal battles involving his family, his food and water supplies were withdrawn this morning. It begins the process of allowing him to die. It's what's known as passive euthanasia, because euthanasia isn't actually legal here in France, but you can withdraw care, and that's what's happened here. However, his family is split, and that is where the big tragedy with this lies, because his parents, who filmed this video of him crying, say that he is still alive, he is just handicapped. They say this is evidence that he wanted to continue living. Now, of course, the other side of the argument, people say that that is merely evidence that he is frustrated, trapped in a body that he can do nothing with. But his wife is the one who has said, no, he wouldn't have wanted to live like this. And so she is the one who has fought for him to be allowed to die.
He had been a nurse himself, a psychiatric nurse.
He had been a nurse himself.
Some people knew where he stood on this, or so they claim at least.
Yes, it's just unfortunate that he hadn't created a living will, so no one can absolutely, with complete conviction, say they know. His mother, Vivian, gave interviews this morning where she described his doctors as monsters and Nazis, because she believes that they are killing him because he's handicapped, something that, of course, the Nazis did in Germany. She says he's not dying, he's not at the end of his life. Pope Francis has also waded into the debate, saying that we pray for those who live with severe illness. Let us always safeguard life, God's gift from its beginning until its natural end. Let us not give in to a throwaway culture, because, of course, the Catholic faith is very much at the heart of this row. His parents, Vincent Lambert's parents, very strictly religious, and do not believe that he should be allowed to die before his time is up. Many people very angry about this gentleman among them saying that the whole medical team should be deemed to be accomplices to a murder, because he doesn't see any difference between, basically he asks, where does it end? Do you kill all heavily handicapped people? Others, though, taking a very different viewpoint, as within Vincent Lambert's own family, saying finally it is freedom for him after 10 years in a hospital bed. And this person too saying that it is his choice finally being respected and he will part in peace.
It is a complicated one, because you have other kind of more extreme religious positions that would say you shouldn't, if somebody can't survive without any kind of medical support, then they shouldn't,
Absolutely.
I think
and the big issue with this is that he can breathe on his own, he can open his eyes, he can even look towards someone who's talking to him. And that is one of the big debates, the fact that he isn't brain dead as such. Now, his parents had hoped that Emmanuel Macron might step in at the last moment, especially after a UN panel for a committee on the disabled rights had urged France to actually put a pause on this while they actually looked into it and came up with their own conclusions. But Emmanuel Macron hasn't stepped in. He has released a lengthy, heartfelt statement about this, saying there is no simple or unequivocal solution, only uncertainties and heartbreak.
All right. Now, a US billionaire, to move on to another story, Emma, has written off the debt of an entire graduating class. It's a pretty incredible gesture. Tell us more about that.
Yes, he's one of only 13 black billionaires in the world, and now Robert F. Smith has just become the most talked about, without question. It was after an announcement at a graduation ceremony, and just look at the faces behind him as he makes his statement.
This is my class, 2019. And my family is making a grant to eliminate their student loans.
So that was the commencement speech. And
absolutely. He'd been given
I
an
wonder, did they
honorary
even
degree.
fully realise what he'd announced at that moment?
It took quite a while.
It's such a huge sort of
there was
commitment.
a real ripple of excitement that sort of passed through the crowd, and then eventually, as it dawned on them what it meant, they all got to their feet.
We've been saved a lot of money.
Absolutely. 400 students at Morehouse College, which is a historically black men's college in Atlanta. It's estimated that this is going to cost him $40 million to pay off all of that student debt.
You've got to have deep pockets to make that gesture.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is quite incredible. Now, one mother of one of the students spoke to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution saying that, I feel like it's Mother's Day all over again. Her son's student loans, she thinks, totals around $70,000. Another one said that he had expected to spend the next 25 years paying off his $200,000 loans. Some politicians, including Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, saying this should be looked at as a kind of experiment, just to see how these students and their life choices compare with their peers who are still in debt over the next 10 to 15 years, because it is a real political football, this one, in the United States. As for who is this gentleman, well, he is the richest black man in America. He's worth $5 billion. He founded a private equity firm called Vista Equity Partners. But he has a flamboyant side too. He's not just a philanthropist. It was quite interesting to read this.
Well, he's throwing a lot of cash around, so he's definitely a little bit flamboyant.
Absolutely. He owns one of Elton John's old pianos. He hired John Legend and Seal to perform at his wedding to this lady Hope, who is a former Playboy model turned actress. But lots of people really don't care about his background. They just care about the gesture. Looking at some of the tweets out there today, the thing I love about this Morehouse situation is the pressure it puts on every other bazillionaire who has already signed up to give a commencement speech this month.
Competitive generosity, that'd be good.
Absolutely. Well, almost exactly what the next tweet says, competitive philanthropy.
Well, yeah.
On your marks, get set, go. A really incredible story, and it has made an immense difference to the lives of 400 students in the United States.
Competition put to the ends of charity. That sounds like an excellent idea. Thanks for that, Emma Janes. And